ever since I joined politics, I always noticed I really got into it with the PPC in 2019. And, there'd be the pub nights and we'd chit chat. And I always realized that most of the time the pubs would kind of descend into, this is the ideal society. No, this is the ideal system. No, this is the ideal. And I realized, well, this has nothing to do with people who think like us actually getting power. Like, what is the actual, like, that's great. We could talk for days and we could actually be in the gulags talking about what's best. This is the most ideal system. But when it comes down to it, I just try to avoid those conversations and say, well, what can we actually do practically to solve this problem? I really like the point that Adopt a Trucker brought up about how important the media is. Someone mentioned debates, how important debates are. But at the end of the day, it's going to take work. And people don't want to hear that. It's going to take work. It's going to take a long-term plan. But I think the trucker convoy kind of is a good sort of like small example. What I realized early on in politics as well is if you want something to happen, you have to do it yourself. And I would even add, I'd love, we could have this conversation another time, but I'm sure Adopt a Trucker, you did a lot of your own personal efforts. I don't think the Conservative Party helped you. I don't think, I think you did it yourself with that community. And the Freedom Convoy was another representative of that. Canadians helping other Canadians. And I think why it worked and why it was this beautiful thing is because it was a simple goal. Go to Ottawa, protest mandates. That's something that everyone understood. Didn't have to be people that even knew each other, but we all knew intuitively that that's what the goal was. And we all worked together towards that end. And we did it ourselves. We didn't have organizations set up by any means when it all started. Sure, we made connections and kind of made systems ourselves as we went along. But it worked because we had that common goal against the establishment. And we need better media. And unfortunately, our bigger right-wing outlets, Rebel News, True North, they kind of just prop up Pierre Poilievre. They do great work, don't get me wrong, but they kind of just prop up Poilievre. And Tim, you were saying that, you want to debate, and it's true, but here's the thing. There's no debate going on with the Liberal Party. There's no debate going on the CBC or any mainstream media, but you don't even get a debate with Pierre Poilievre. There is no conversation to be had in the Conservative Party of Canada. And we saw example after example of this during COVID, during lockdowns, and during the convoy. Randy Hillier got kicked out of the party for speaking his mind. Derek Sloan got kicked out of the Conservative Party for speaking his mind. And there's a few other examples of this. So, I heard the strategy earlier of we just got to keep influencing the CPC. We got to keep influencing Pierre Poilievre. Here's the thing. It is so easy for someone who works for the Conservative Party to give you lip service and be like, yeah, I hear you. Yeah, you're influencing us. Yeah, we totally hear your concerns. At the end of the day, though, I think you guys underestimate how old and rotten the Conservative Party of Canada is. This is like a very, very old institution, and it is festering. It's got mold that we've never even, scientists have never even seen the mold on this festering wound of the rotten Liberal Party, Conservative Party. It's been there for so long. The best way to influence the Conservative Party is to cause them pain. And the best way to cause them pain is to pick up a PPC flag. And I know that people don't want to hear that, but this is the truth. And don't get me wrong. People were bringing up criticisms of Max Bernier and the People's Party of Canada. And I tend to agree that there are a lot of room for improvement. But like I said earlier, remember what I said at the beginning? It's going to take work. It's going to take people uniting together. And, the trucker convoy wasn't perfect, but we made it work. And sure, there's weaknesses with the PPC. For example, let's face it, the Conservative Party is as much as I despise their subversion and how they don't really tell the truth, and they're crushing it when it comes to clever messaging and propaganda to speak to frustrated Canadians. And it's unfortunate because it's like, man, I really wish the PPC was better at consistently tapping into that. However, there's a lot of strengths and opportunities with the PPC as well. They are grassroots, and that means pretty well anyone can participate. You can show up and take the wheel, especially in your local area, and start to make stuff happen. And, people will say, well, Max isn't the best. The messaging could be better. And like I said, I tend to agree. But, you can start taking up the PPC banner and saying what you want. And I'm sure it'll probably align with the party. And as I said, cause pain to the conservatives because you're not kind of just blindly following them. But yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, politics is winning hearts and minds and moving a large group of people in the same direction. I don't think the Conservative Party has our best interest in mind, not by a long shot. I think we've seen that since the convoy. And yeah, as I said, the PPC isn't perfect, but in terms of the situation right now, that is at least a platform that's going to cause pain to the Conservative Party of Canada and help them move in the right direction. And, there are other opportunities, organizations that I encourage people to grow and build and be a part of. But, we need to stay solution oriented because I think it's very easy to kind of just sit around on the couch and shit on the PPC and Max Bernier for not being good enough. But at the end of the day, we need to look for viable solutions. And that includes, for better or for worse, getting to work and doing it ourselves. Thanks for letting me speak.
It was very good, Greg.
Randy?
Thank you very much, Greg. That was a good wrap up, and I really enjoyed what you had to say.